Honestly, I should have seen it coming, that the Titans were going to pay Derrick Henry. Would you want to make that guy mad? Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. I bet Dan Snyder's hoping that this is the only news that I'll be talking about today, Grossi. And today we're going to be talking about Derrick Henry getting that 4-year extension and Dak Prescott not getting it. Cue Price is Right sad music. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to some brand new patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and YouTube members. First, we got Boto Winter join the royalty tier. Good to see you, Boto, and thank you very much. Then you got Case Cookus, the man, the icon, the extraordinaire, the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, heir to the Chocolate Factory throne. I don't even know what I just said. Case Cookus, thank you for your support. And Tom Grossi's official pick for the Super Bowl is the 13-time world champs Green Bay Packers. Now that is a shout out that I can get behind. A big shout out and thank you to all three of you. And over on the YouTube membership front, we got Zeno saying, good to see ya. We got Seahawks and the Lions are the best, Packers suck. And we got Manuel Mojica. Thank you very much for your support. It is much appreciated. So yesterday, the news came out that Derrick Henry signed his 4-year deal. $50 million and $25.5 million of those dollars are guaranteed. Now, a few things stood out to me. One, thank God I put out that video about running back free agents earlier in the week, because then it would have been irrelevant and I would have had to do the entire thing over if I was filming it yesterday, so whew, that's a good thing. But again, with Derrick Henry, this seems like a good deal for both of them. It's a 4-year deal. They're not shelling out a ton of money. And this should also kind of set the free agent market for next year's running back class, considering Derrick Henry was the top guy. So I went back, and a couple things to keep in mind. This was a stat that kept floating out there. Back in 2011, the Titans signed Chris Johnson to a 4-year extension for $53.5 million in 2011 money with $30 million guaranteed. So just going to show kind of like the difference in 2011 to 2020, kind of where the market for running backs is currently. And we talked about this earlier this week, how there really isn't a strong demand for running backs because unless they're a game-changing player, they're really not going to get a ton of money unless it's from the team that drafted them, unless, you know, you're Adam Gase and you just want to ruin a career like Le'Veon Bell's, but even he didn't get as much money as many people thought. And comparing it to some of the contracts that we've seen as of late, we saw in 2018, Todd Gurley signed the 4-year, $60 million contract with 45 in guarantees. In 2019, Zeke did a 6-year, $90 million contract with 50 in guarantees, 28 in true guaranteed money. And then, of course, we had Christian McCaffrey earlier this year, 4 years, $64 million, which $30 million at signing, and bringing him to about $16 million per year, making him the highest paid running back in history. So right now, the 26-year-old Derrick Henry will be the 5th highest paid running back in the league. I mean, we ranked them, and I thought that he's, top 3, so he didn't get that kind of money. But obviously, Henry has just been dominating for the Titans. Last year, had 303 carries for over 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns on the ground. He's had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. And the stat that blew me away was in the regular season, he accounted for 30% of their offense. Heading into the AFC Championship game, he accounted for 69% of their offense. So just to show how important Derrick Henry is to that team. They also got it done before the franchise tag took hold for this year. They were going to have to pay him $10.278 million. Now instead he's getting this guaranteed money. Franchise tag goes away. And so Derrick Henry is locked up for 4 more years with the Tennessee Titans. They locked up Ryan Tannehill. And so it looks like that offense is going to be pretty stable for the next few years. On top of that, you have guys like A.J. Brown who are starting to emerge on that team. Their offense could be really, really good, even though they'll find a way to finish 9-7. Will they make it to the AFC Championship game with that record? Who knows? But it's going to be interesting to see how the Titans evolve over the next couple years. In addition, this kind of also puts a spotlight on guys like Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones, who will get paid less money than this. So depending on what's going to happen with COVID and the season and the cap and who we're going to let go next season, I mean, there's still potential that Jones winds up sticking around in Green Bay, and boy, oh boy, do I hope so. Though I will say, if A.J. Dillon also goes off this year, it might not happen. Then before we get to Dak, you also had Browns defensive end Myles Garrett getting his payday, a 5-year, $125 million contract, and it's $100 million in guaranteed money. Holy crap. So yeah, Myles Garrett is obviously a game changer. When the guy is on the field, he is amazing at hitting other quarterbacks in the head with their own helmets. But to give you an idea, the guy has only started 35 games over the past 3 years, and in those 35 games, he has 30.5 sacks. So the guy is definitely a difference maker, and I think is worth the money. He just has to stay on the field. Then over to other news, you got Dak Prescott, who's going to be playing on the franchise tag this year because the Cowboys and him couldn't get a long-term deal done. He will be paid $31.4 million this year under the franchise tender. And honestly, for the Cowboys, this is just dumb. Like, really, really dumb. The question was, can Dak Prescott be their franchise guy? He went out last year, had a really, really good season, even if it was under the... And he basically just earned all of the money that he was due. Now, instead of actually securing Dak Prescott, the guy is going to play another year where if he puts up similar or better numbers, which I think he will under Mike McCarthy, of course, they have a ridiculous offense right now with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and of course, Ezekiel Elliott in that offensive line. He's probably going to put up ridiculous numbers again. And so they're going to have to pay him even more money. So that contract that they would have signed now is going to be even more expensive come next year. The guy is in the prime of his career. He's just turning 27 this month. And the only real risk for him is that he gets injured this year, and that could dilute his value. There was also a tweet put out yesterday that his brother Tad Prescott said who knows how much longer he's going to root for the Cowboys, alluding to what's going on with the situation with the Cowboys and his brother. But Dak came out today and said, "I'm a Cowboy and couldn't be happier." And of course, for him, barring an injury, this works out for him. He's going to get paid a crap ton of money this year, over $30 million. If they were to tag him again next year, it's going to be over $37 million. And the biggest thing for the Cowboys now is what happens to the cap. We've been talking about what COVID is going to do with it. And while the ramifications of COVID are going to be spread out across multiple seasons, this could hurt their cap, meaning COVID. And so now you're going to have Dak Prescott coming in with a higher contract next year. They could have saved themselves a lot of heartache and, of course, a lot of moolah. But yeah, no, they didn't go that way. There was also reports that Prescott turned down at least $33 million per season with $100 million guaranteed. And honestly, he's probably going to make more than that after this season, if there's a season and if he plays really well. So yeah, the Cowboys might be driving themselves into cap hell. And I know we'll all wave as we watch the car go by. So what will be interesting to see is if the Cowboys actually do re-sign him or if they let him walk in the prime of his career, which I don't think is going to happen, but crazier things have happened. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You think Derrick Henry was overpaid, underpaid, and what do you think the Cowboys should have done with Dak? You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.